Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back to the Predictions and Breakdowns. Today we have UFC Fight Night Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze 2, which is coming to you on this weekend, March 15th, 2025. We're going to be starting with the prelims, ending with the main event, going through the entire card, giving some predictions and breakdowns on what I think is going to happen on the card. There's a lot of underdogs that I think can smash this weekend, and there's a lot of fantastic fights, to be honest. And there hasn't even been that many cancellations for this fight, only one. And that was Evan Elder, who was supposed to take on Markel Medeiros. I actually like Evan Elder a lot. I would have liked to see him fight this weekend, but it is what it is. We're just going to start off with the first prelim opener, and with the main card, let's get it going. We're going to start off with Eunice Dubin versus Carly Judice, excuse me. We're going to be going with Eunice Dubin. I think she's just kind of on a very confident streak. She's had, 4 knockouts in a row? 5 knockouts in a row. She said 5 knockouts in a row, and one of those is included of Shannon Clark, who was a minus 700 favorite. Granted, she was a bigger favorite previous to the bout starting. I believe she was a minus 1100 favorite on DraftKings the night of. Shannon Clark was one of these Canadian prospects that was looking like she was going to be able to pop into the UFC and just kind of stomp over the division at 125. She looked like she had really decent wrestling. She had looked like she had really decent stand-up, and she looked like she was going to be able to start finishing some girls as she made her way towards the top 15 of the UFC. Granted, she got gifted a spot a little bit early on the Contender Series, in my opinion, but she was LFA champion, so it is what it is. And then she gets absolutely stuffed by Dubin with overhand rights after just landing some nice, decent combinations on her and just kind of giving Shannon Clark no rest and no confidence whatsoever, and she just kind of melted inside of the fight. And I'm going to be picking her here, seeing as Carly Judice has been having a tough last 2 fights inside the UFC, one being inside of the Contender Series against the kickboxer Ernesto Carrascate, and one being against Gabriela Fernandez, who I don't really rate that high. I don't really think Fernandez is that great. Fernandez is the girl who was able to drop Kong Wang and get a rear naked choke on her. I think she got lucky in that fight. I don't think she has very, very good skill. I think she was getting beat up in that fight quite bad before that knockout, and I don't really think Carly Judice should have had a problem with that. I think she should have been able to get that fight done, and I think she would have been I think she should have been winning that fight very clearly and not having it go to a split decision. Now we're left with Dubin, who I think is going to just be able to piece her up in the feet, and as a plus 380 underdog, you kind of have to love her a little bit, seeing as the value's there, and her striking is just kind of on par, if not better, than Judice. And aren't they the same height? They're close. Only 3 inches off. I mean, that's kind of a lot, but, it is what it is. We're going to move on to next prelims. Next prelim of the evening, Josiane Nunes versus Priscilla Caoeira. I'm fucking Jesus. We're going to just say Priscilla. I can't even say this name. We're going to be going with Priscilla. Josiane Nunes hasn't really been able to beat anyone good inside of the UFC. Ramon Pascual, whatever the fuck her name is. Where is she from? Is this Hong Kong? That is the Hong Kong flag. Interesting. She's absolutely terrible. She got dropped by a lot of girls inside of the UFC and got kicked out of it by the Tamiris Vidal flying knee, which just absolutely put her lights out. Josiane Nunes was able to beat Zara Farron as well. I think Zara Farron's shit. I think she's one of the worst fighters I've ever seen inside the UFC. She just got choked out last year by Giselle Moreira, and that's just absolutely pathetic, seeing as she's a UFC caliber fighter and she's getting choked up by girls in Aries FC, and it's kind of pathetic. It's pathetic that Josiane Nunes is unable to beat these girls. She fought Jacqueline Cavalcanti, lost a split decision where she didn't even win any of the rounds except for maybe the third, and somehow one of the judges gave her 30-27. Pretty pathetic. She lost a fight to Chelsea Chandler, who hasn't had a good fight on her record ever, except for the Julia Storoyenko fight, which the girl is fucking 11-8 and losing to absolute trash. Lost to Alexis Davis. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, what am I watching here? Priscilla at least has some competitive wins over Ariana Lipsky, just knocked her out inside of the first minute. Jiyoung Kim's kind of terrible. She's a decent grappler, but, no. Jillian Robertson choked her out with a second to go inside of the first round. Miranda Maverick, Jasmine Jazavidias, these are very, very good grapplers that are taking her out, and this isn't a good grappler this time around. This is a girl who's going to try and sit and strike with Priscilla, and I think Priscilla's going to be able to eat the shots and be able to strike of her own, and I think she'll be able to drop Nunes. I think she just has fantastic striking as well. I think Nunes and her are going to be going bomb for bomb. I think Priscilla gets a win on her record as an underdog at plus 170. And I think Josie Nunes gets kicked out of the UFC after 3 in a row. And we don't have to watch her fight anymore. These first 2 fights are absolutely terrible, but at least we get another good one in Andre Lima versus Daniel Barez. We're going to be picking Andre Lima just because of his boxing. He's just superior to Daniel Barez. Daniel Barez doesn't stop, though. He does go forward consistently. He's very, very good at keeping his gas tank intact. He was able to beat up Victor Altamirano. It was a very, very close fight. But Barez did end up taking the decision. He did get submitted by Rafael Filo, which is kind of an unfortunate loss, seeing as Filo got him early inside of the fight. And it's kind of been on a run ever since. And I don't think we're going to the ground in this fight. Maybe Barez tries to get it to the ground, but I think Andre Lima is going to be able to outpoint him, and if not, at least drop him and knock him out. I think Barez has some problems when he opens up. I think he gets clipped a little bit too often. I think he leaves his chin in the air, and I think Andre Lima is going to be able to find that jab and find that 1-2. And with an inch and a half of reach advantage, I think he's going to be able to just keep the distance, keep Barez off of him. I don't see Barez throwing that many kicks, to be honest, so I don't think the distance is going to be that detrimental for Lima, but I think Lima's going to be able to fucking piece him up with some nice strikes. I think the Muay Thai is going to be very, very good here. I think the clinch work would be exponential for Lima's game. I think it's going to be a close fight. I think Barez is going to try and push the pressure, and Lima can just initiate tie clinches and just force him against the cage and just bring those knees up the middle where Barez starts to get gassed out, and we can maybe drop him on the ground and get a win via KO. We're going to move on next on the prelim. Sam Hughes versus Stefani Luciano. The Jacqueline Amorim fight. I don't like Jacqueline Amorim. I think she cheated against Vanessa, but the Demopoulos, she shoved her fingers inside the gloves. Sam Hughes did lose to Piera Rodriguez, who's I fucking hate because of those headbutts she gave Ariana Carnelossi. Even though she was winning the fight against Carnelossi, she just headbutted the shit out of her for no reason. But Sam Hughes, man, the grappling's good. Like, beat up Victoria Dudakova in her last fight. And Stefani Luciano. Like, what the fuck? What are these fights that we're getting, man? These fights on this fight card are actually kind of rough now that I think about it. I was saying they were good. These women's fights are kind of terrible. You can't really fucking predict shit. Talita Alencar, right. Talita. I do remember that. Okay, we're going to go. Fuck. This is hard. The reason why this is hard is because Stefani Luciano has not really fought a good caliber fighter yet. Like, Talita Alencar's ass. She's not that good. She's kind of shit. And Rayani Amanda gets robbed every time she fights. She lost to Rayani too. Okay, we're gonna go with the side of Sam Hughes. I think Sam Hughes' boxing is gonna be a little bit better than Stefani. I think the grappling threat is gonna be something to deal with. I think just just purely the experience that Sam Hughes has inside of the octagon is significantly more than Luciano has ever even sniffed. I don't think she's fought a lady that's even in the lick of competition, like close to Amorim or Yasmin or Victoria. I don't think she's fought anyone like that. No one. I think this is going to be a wake-up call. I think Sam Hughes gets a big victory here. I think she gets a fucking massive win on her record. I think she gets a win over a prospect that's trying to make her break her career. And I think Luciano just takes the L. I don't think Sam Hughes is going to lose this fight. I can't see it. She's just too much experience, man. She's just too well-rounded, and she had 3 losses in a row inside of her career that kind of ruined her fucking record. She would be like 9-4 in my opinion, really, if she just took some more time off and developed her game. The fights inside of COVID were a little bit weird. Training wasn't as good, and you see as she gets out of COVID, she starts performing better, fighting better competition. I like Sam Hughes here. We're going to take Sam Hughes all day. We're going to start off with the next prelim here. Josas? Oh my god. We're going to look it up because I can't butcher this name. This is killing me right now. I don't know how it does it every time, but for some reason, I just can't.
Playing inside for this second Sasas. but a 4-inch reach advantage for
Josias. All right. It's not my fault, okay? Josias, really? Like, I'm supposed to know that. Josias Musasas versus Carlos Vera. We're going to be going with... Okay, listen. This is sketchy. I'm actually picking the side of Carlos Vera, I think. The reason being, Carlos Vera is very similar to Ryan Hall. Okay? He wants the ground. Okay? He wants to grab you. And if he grabs you, he's probably going to get you. He's looking for an ankle lock. He's looking to run at you. If Josias Musasa gets fucking stuck in a situation where he's interlocked in a leg lock situation, I think he's fucked. Because Carlos Vera is significantly better in jiu-jitsu than Musasa. Musasa is just very strong, very good hips, able to just pull himself up from the ground like he did against Otari. Now you have Carlos Vera who's going to leg lock you, and as you try to get up, he's going to snap your fucking ankle in half. Now where do we land? I like under in this fight. I think Carlos Vera will get fucking... He'll either get chinned or he'll rip the leg off of Musasa. I think Musasa needs to be very careful in this fight. This is probably one of his most dangerous fights he's ever had. Carlos Vera's not a bad fighter. He's just... excuse me. A different type of fighter. He likes the jiu-jitsu. He's not a very good striker. And we're going to see if he can rip the leg off of Musasa, because that's the only way he's winning this fight. I'd love to see what he can do. I'm definitely going to be sprinkling a little bit of money on Carlos Vera to get it done. Now, Josias is not bad. He did find his way to a split decision over Otari. I thought Otari might have won the fight. I thought he landed better strikes, and I thought Musasa got a little bit fucked up. And I think Carlos Vera here has the advantage in the grappling, and I think he's going to be able to abuse Musasa, and we're going to be able to see it in full action Saturday night. We're going to move on next on the prelim. Su Young Yu Jiu-Jitsu against AJ Cunningham, who's making the drop from 155 on his last fight at short notice against Ludwig Klein to another short notice fight, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, at 135 this week. I like the side of Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know if minus 700 is right. Now, I keep saying over and over again over all of these videos that I've done over the past year, the road to UFC, guys, I don't rate highly whatsoever. Jiu-Jitsu is merely he's another one of those guys. So when you really look at it, AJ Cunningham against Ludwig Klein, he clipped him maybe once or twice, and then AJ Cunningham kind of got put down. If we're making this more realistic, if AJ Cunningham looks decent on the scales, if he doesn't look like he's dying, if Jiu-Jitsu looks the same as he always looks, AJ Cunningham probably should be more closer to a plus 200 underdog. The loss against Ludwig Klein, again, on short notice, up a weight class against a big guy, against a guy who they're basically feeding you to, who's just trying to get a knockout on his record to start off a run, which they did. He then beat up Thiago Moises, and he then beat up Roosevelt Roberts. And now you have AJ Cunningham trying to get back in the win column against Jiu-Jitsu. I can see it happening, but AJ Cunningham's going to need to have very, very good takedown defense. He's going to need to avoid the grappling at all costs, and he's going to need to try and have the best cardio he's ever had in his career, because Young Yu will not stop. He will continuously move forward, and if he doesn't feel like one game plan's working, he will switch it up, and if he doesn't feel like that game plan's working, he'll switch it up, and AJ Cunningham's going to have a tough night ahead of him at 135 if he's drained, and if he looks drained, you stack the side of Jiu-Jitsu all day. If he looks good, man, and he looks like he can last 3 rounds, it's looking like AJ Cunningham might pull it off as a plus 500 underdog. We're going to go on to the top of the prelims, the main prelim of the evening. Waldo Cortez Acosta against Ryan Superman Spann. We're taking Ryan Spann. He's moving up to heavyweight after getting a light heavyweight win over Ovens St. Preux. Was it light heavyweight or was that heavyweight? Let's just double check here. It was a light heavyweight win over... Ovens St. Preux, and now he is moving up to heavyweight to fight on Waldo Cortez Acosta. I'm interested to see what he does. I think he's going to be a fast heavyweight. I think he's going to be looking for the 1-2s. I think he's going to be trying to utilize that very good movement that he has, and I think the guillotine choke against Waldo Cortez Acosta would be very beneficial. I think the fight against Robelis de Spain kind of showed that Waldo is absolutely ass on the ground, and he can merely hold people, and that's about it. And if he fights anyone with competent jiu-jitsu, he's probably screwed. And Ryan Spann has competent jiu-jitsu. He's very good on the feet. I think he has decent striking power. He was able to knock out Dominic Reyes, even though Dominic Reyes at that point in his career was a little bit cheeny. He did get knocked out by Jan, did get knocked out by Yuri, and then got knocked out a year and a half later by Ryan Spann via just a jab. Just put him down and put his lights out. And now you have Ryan Spann, who just guillotined OSP, and now he's fighting Waldo Cortez Acosta, who's a favorite merely because he beat Robel Sispain, who was an absolute can. He beat Andre Arlovsky, who's old as fuck. He beat Lucas Bresky, who's a can. Chase Sherman, who's a can. Ryan Spann has fought Dominic Reyes, OSP, Bogdan Guskov, Anthony Smith to a split decision, Nikita Krylov, Ian Kutelaba, and he got him via guillotine, like fucking Misha Kurnikov. Like, listen, these are dangerous fucking guys, and Ryan Spann has put some of these guys away. Bogdan Guskov put Ryan Spann's fucking lights out, granted, but Waldo Cortez Acosta does not have that type of power. I don't believe he does. I think the only reason why he has knockouts on his record is because he fights these absolute dog shit people in random divisions other than Lucas Bresky, who was inside of the UFC. I thought Lucas was going to be the guy who took Mick Parkin out. Look how fucking wrong I was on that. He was able to beat up Thomas Peterson inside of the LFA for the title. He was able to beat up Danilo Swart, or whatever the fuck, Zart, or whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. These are terrible guys. They're terrible. Give me Ryan Spann as an underdog all day. Stack the money on it. Put the house on it. We're going to be starting with the main card. Hopefully you guys did enjoy so far. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. Smash the hell out of that like button. We're going to be starting off with Kevin Vallejos versus Sungwoo Choi. We're going Kevin Vallejos by knockout. Sungwoo Choi getting knocked out by Steve Garcia inside of the first round, just having no success whatsoever. Michael Trizano, counter left hook, drops him, puts on his lights out. The only problem I have, there is one problem I have. Uno problemo. The Yusuf Zalal decision win. Looking back, Yusuf Zalal was not the same guy he is now, but it's still a win over Yusuf Zalal, who was getting that training and still training all the time, 24/7, and he was able to defeat him. I do think Sungwoo Choi does get knocked out, though. I think under 1.5 rounds is probably your best bet if you're taking it. And I think Sungwoo Choi, with the reach advantage, will try and stay on the outside. And Kevin Vallejos, using his kicks, will just try and pick apart Sung until he just lands a big overhand, and puts his lights out. That's realistically what I'm seeing happening. I don't think Choi can stay away from him for too long. I think Kevin's going to force the pressure at some point. He is 23 years of age. He wants to brawl. He wants to see what Choi has for him. Let's run down the pocket. Let's see what he got. And that's definitely what's going to happen. I think Sung gets knocked out early, and Kevin gets another good win on his record. Granted, the only loss on Kevin Vallejos' record is Jean Silva, and he didn't even get knocked out by Jean. He... or I guess it's Gene Silva, whatever that you want to fuck it. Jean sounds better in my opinion, but Gene Silva, he didn't even get knocked out by him. He just got tagged pretty good, and he gave John some fucking shit of his own. So it was a fantastic fight, and I think Kevin Vallejos is just going to be able to basically flower here against Sungwoo Choi, who doesn't have the type of boxing that Silva has, and Kevin's just going to light his world up. We're going to go on next on the main card, DR Nergoze against Brandonson Ribeiro. Now, I originally picked Ribeiro during the week, and now I should never pick flip, because every time I pick flip, I lose. Just like last week, I pick flipped Amanda Lemos against Yasmin Lucindo. I picked Lucindo afterwards, after a lot of people convinced me away from Lemos being old and not having very good grappling. Meanwhile, fucking Lemos took down Yasmin and just made her bitch. I'm going to pick flip here to DR. I just watched his fucking Contender Series bout, and I watched Ribeiro back. Ribeiro can't really take a shot. He ate a shot from Ming Yang Zhang and just got put down instantly. Zhang ate everything from Ribeiro. And whether he's pillow fisted or not, Ribeiro was not able to drop him. He stumbled him a little bit, but Zhang just put his lights out. Caio Machado's split decision, should have been able to drop Caio or put his lights out quick. Magomed Gadzhisulov lost majority's decision. Like, Gadzhisulov's ass, his kickboxing is not even that good for being a professional kickboxer. And now you have DR, who was able to get like a super calculated knockout over Botor Shvik. Or Shvek, whatever his name is. And he just like kept pushing the pressure, was being more calculated, took his time, and just threw the head kicks at the right times and just dropped him with a good head kick, left high kick, and then put his lights out with some ground and pound. I think he's going to put the lights out of Ribeiro inside of the first round. I think Ribeiro is a little bit too aggressive. I think DR is just going to step back and just land something big and put his lights out. He could get knocked out, though. Ribeiro has strong hands, 81 inches of reach. He's standing 7 inches over the top of DR with his fucking hands, and that's a problem. That's a lot of range. That's a lot of problem for DR. But I think DR is going to get it done via high kick. I think Ribeiro gets his lights out, and I think we see another big knockout of Brandon Ribeiro. I think that'll be his 5th in his career, 4th. This guy's gonna need to start looking at some fucking hospitals for his CTE damage. We're gonna move on next to the main card. Woo! This is a good one too. Damon Blackshear versus Cody Gibson. We're taking Damon Blackshear via submission. Cody Gibson's been had problems with wrestlers in the past. Aljamain Sterling, Douglas Silva, Andrade, Ray Borg. A lot of these guys that just are able to mix it up and just kind of abuse him. And he just can't really do anything about it. He was able to get submitted by Adrian Diaz, pulled guillotine on him, and just ripped his fucking neck apart. Yeah, it happens. Miles Johns, Brad Katona weren't able to do anything or finish him, but Brad Katona was able to just point him up. Miles Johns was able to point him up. And I think in this situation, after he just got a win over Chad and Helger, he's going to be feeling a little bit confident. I think Damon Blackshear is going to take it all away inside of the first round. I think he's going to be feeling a little bit defeated. I think Damon Blackshear is going to take him down and get a submission on him early. I think within 2 rounds, we'll see Cody Gibson tap. I think Damon Blackshear gets another win on his record, and we start a little run for Damon. I mean, a win over Cody Stamann via rear naked choke is kind of ridiculous. Cody Stamann hasn't been choked out in years. He doesn't get choked out like that. It hasn't happened in his career since very, very, very early on. Am I wrong? Where is it here? No, he got choked out by Saeed, but that doesn't really count. Other than the fucking... Yeah, that's the knee bar by Aljamain that I was talking about. He hasn't been really submitted since the knee bar by Aljamain. We're talking about, like, actual ground game, like, where we actually played out. Not a guillotine where we just jump midair and pull on it and you get it. Damon's really, really good on the ground. I think Cody Gibson is going to have a lot of problems. And speaking of good on the ground, we're going to move on to the next on the main card. Alexander Hernandez versus Kurt Holloway. I'm stacking the money on Kurt Holloway this week. Kurt Holloway is going to break Alexander Hernandez. Hernandez gasses out every single fight you ever watch of him. Within the second half of the second round, he always gasses out. He lost a split decision to Damon Jackson. Like, he gets a win over Austin Hubbard, and all of a sudden he's a minus 190 favorite against Kurt Holloway, who beat up Kyan Kurchewski, the guy who's fucking submitting everyone and knocking dudes out. He was able to get a good win over Jose Luis Verdugo, who was, again, choking dudes out, beating people up inside of the XFC. Now, granted, Kurt used to be inside the UFC. He did get armbarred by Shane Burgos, which is a terrible loss. Thiago Moises was able to decision him 5 years ago. But I think here, in this position, after a loss against Trey Ogden, after a submission win over Austin Hubbard, which Alexander Hernandez was unable to get, he wasn't able to get a finish over him. I think Kurt Holloway is going to get him by submission. I think we're going to be going to the ground at some point. I think Hernandez is going to gas out. I think Kurt Holloway is going to beat the shit out of him. I think Kurt Holloway was fantastic in this fight. I think at 38 years of age, this is probably one of his last fights that he's going to get a victory on. I think Alexander Hernandez is the exact guy they want to give to him. I think this is the type of fight that you want to give to someone. It looks like they're just asking for it. They're just asking for Kurt Holloway to just run over Alexander Hernandez. Hernandez has had a problem with Bill Algeo. He had problems with fucking Billy Q, who just gassed him out and just beat the shit out of him. He had problems with Damon Jackson. Like, these are guys who you should not really have problems with if you're a high-level guy. And Alexander Hernandez showed his true colors. He's kind of an asshole, and Kurt Holloway is going to show him up and show out. We're going to move on to the co-main event of the evening. Again, if you guys did enjoy this so far, make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you have not already. We have Elizeu Zaleski DeSantos versus Chidi Njokuani. We're going with Elysiu. I think he's going to knock out Njokuani. I think we're going to have a huge bang fest here. I think both these guys are going to be throwing absolute heat. We're going to be seeing probably an early stoppage. It's either going to go inside the first round or we're going all three. Usually that's how it goes with these big strikers. We get an early stoppage inside the first 5 minutes, or we see these guys go the full distance and just get beat the hell out of and get fight of the night. I think Elysiu is just a little bit too good on the feet. I think he's too quick with the kicks. I think Chidi Njokuani is really, really good with his hands. But I think when it comes down to distance management, Elysiu is going to be using it a little bit better. I think Chidi Njokuani is just going to try and abuse the hell out of his reach advantage and try and jab up Elysiu. And I think Elysiu's kicks is going to be able to be the make or break point for this fight. I think he's going to be able to put the pressure on Chidi, even though he doesn't have that reach advantage. Those legs will be very detrimental to his game. Standing 4 inches under to Chidi's going to have to try and just be over top of him and just basically throw down on top of him. And hopefully Chidi doesn't land those big chitty bang bang shots that he is known for, but we're hoping he's able to Elysiu is able to utilize his game and just kind of keep him off of him and just beat the shit out of Chidi, which is what I'm expecting to happen. I just love this fight so much. I think both these guys are very, very likely to win. I like Elysiu a little bit more, but I think under 2.5 rounds is probably your best bet. I think these guys are going to bang all night. No joke intended, but pause. Bang all night. Let's go. We're gonna move on to the main event of the evening. I don't know how I can't talk right now. Apparently, I'm stumbling over my words because my brain's moving faster than I can talk. We're gonna go to the main event of the evening. That's what I meant to say. God damn it. We have Marvin Vettori versus Roman Dolidze 2. You have to pick the guy who won the first fight, Marvin Dolidze. There was no argument for Roman Dolidze, bro. Did I say Marvin Dolidze? I meant Marvin Vettori. You have to go with the guy that won the first fight because Roman Dolidze did not win that first fight. People were arguing about it, saying that he landed the bigger strikes. Shut the fuck up. You don't even know what you're talking about. Marvin Vettori was landing leg kicks. That was making Roman stumble. He made Roman visibly get hurt. And Marvin Vettori didn't even move. This guy eats shots like they're fucking candy for breakfast. He's 31 years of age, moving into the prime years of his life, the top of the top right now for his testosterone. And Roman Dolidze is just kind of shit. He gets a win over Anthony Smith and a fucking a rib injury of Kevin Holland when they're grappling on the ground. And people are like, "Oh, he went. Yeah, this guy's gonna win. He's gotten better. Haven't you seen? No, we haven't seen, jackass. We've seen Marvin Vettori get better. Like that's about it. He fought fucking Jared Cannonier and looked, I mean, half decent. Like not great, but he hasn't fought in almost 2 years. I can't wait to see Marvin Vettori come out here and just fucking put the lights out of Roman Dolidze. I know that's not going to happen. I wish it would happen. I wish Marvin would literally come out here and just torch him. It's not going to happen. I'd like to see him submit him. Get a rear naked choke or something. Or get a guillotine whenever Roman goes and shoots for a takedown, which probably will happen since he's going to get frustrated on the feet. But I love Marvin Vettori here. Give him the second fight. And after he wins the second fight, give him some decent guy in the top 10. Maybe Brendan Allen. Maybe Fluffy. Actually, give him Fluffy. Marvin Vettori versus Fluffy will be a good fight right after this. We're going to watch Roman Dolidze lose. We'll see Marvin Vettori versus Fluffy. I'm going to call it right now. That is the next fight after Marvin wins this one. That's all I got for you guys this evening. Hope you guys did enjoy. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have not already. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the best bets. I'll see you guys on Saturday for the live stream. And hope you guys did enjoy. I mean, the bouts aren't that bad. The fact that there's 3 women's fights in the first 4 fights is a little bit rough because some of these girls are terrible and really shouldn't be inside the UFC. It's kind of low-level competition to watch, but it is what it is. At least the later bouts are good. Again, that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.